Oh, yes, I remember dizziness. Dizziness was one of my most pesky and annoying symptoms I had. Even though I had all the anxiety symptoms, there were some that were just really difficult, and dizziness was one of them. My dizziness started off as just a sudden wave of maybe a moment or two of feeling really lightheaded as if I was going to fall over. And that really startled me because it was the first time I had ever experienced that. So it was quite distressing to me, and I really was concerned about it, thinking, now, what was that? Um, no, it never returned that day, so over the course of time, I started to forget about it. But as my stress elevated and my anxiousness elevated, I'll be getting more of those episodes in each day. So rather than being one small moment, it might last for a minute or so, where I had a really dizzy spell, and often I had to sit down and think, what was that? And you have two or three of those a day, and they starts to become bothersome. And then, as my stress and worry elevated, all of a sudden they would last longer. I had to get periods of maybe an hour of just feeling really dizzy. And even in those periods of feeling dizzy, you'd have episodes where it was worse than others. So it was a constant dizziness during that time. Then you'd have a wave of it where it was worse. It was a really difficult symptom. And as my anxiety continued to increase and stress increased, my dizziness became 24/7. It was constant, where you'd be feeling off balance and lightheaded and woozy all the time. Then you'd have episodes where it was even stronger, that would be really distressing. And I remember one time walking into my house and almost falling over because I was so lightheaded and off balance. And it just wouldn't ever let up. No matter what I did, it would never let up. I would even go to bed. You'd be laying in bed, and if you kept your head still, you'd get a little bit of piece of it, and then you'd go to sleep, and you'd wake up again, and it would be in a heartbeat. It would be back again, and it was just notoriously difficult. I really disliked that symptom quite a lot. As I learned more about it, recognizing it was a symptom of stress, then I started working at getting my stress down, containing my anxiousness, and over the course of time, as my body's stress would, slowly creep down over the course of time, the dizziness would start to lift, where you'd have moments of clarity. And I thought, oh, this is good, but then it would be back again. And as I kept on working at getting my stress down and containing anxiousness and dealing with my anxiety issues, the periods of feeling clear would start to extend and get longer, and then you'd be back into it again for a while. And over the course of time, those clear, as we call them, cloudy breaks would show up, and they get longer and longer and longer, and more clear, felt better. Then you'd have a little bit of a rebound. Then over the course of time, again, the dizziness would eventually completely clear off. And I might have like 2 or 3 days of feeling pretty good, and then it would be back for a little while. And then as I kept working at my recovery strategies, the dizziness would finally clear off and disappear once and for all. I know how distressing dizziness can be, but we always want to keep in mind that it is just another symptom of elevated stress caused by being overly anxious. As we get our stress under control, as we work at our recovery strategies to deal with our anxiety issues, the body eventually calms down over the course of time. And as the body calms down and returns to a normal level of stress, all anxiety symptoms disappear, including dizziness. So dizziness isn't serious. It can feel awful, yes, but it's not an indication of something serious. It's an indication of stress. When we deal with our stress and anxiety issues, it completely disappears. So there's no reason to worry about it. In fact, worrying about it will keep the body stressed, which keeps the symptoms persisting. So we have to get really good at not worrying about it, containing ourselves, dealing with our anxiety issues, and the whole thing disappears. Everyone can overcome a struggle with anxiety and its symptoms when we do the right work. If you're having trouble with this, it's wise to connect with an experienced therapist to help you learn the important skills of containment, fear extinction, and all those which we mentioned in the recovery support area. But nevertheless, dizziness is just a symptom of elevated stress and anxiety. Dealing with those two will eliminate it completely.